Hi, this is Jan Price, and I am at the ILLUMINATE Film Festival, and today I am going to be interviewing Dana Croschere with her film, Rescued Hearts. Welcome to the ILLUMINATE Film Festival, Dana.
Thank you so much. It is such an honor to be here.
Well, I have to tell you, I absolutely loved your film. I've been telling everybody, you have to go see Rescued Hearts. It made me cry throughout the film. And I'll be honest with you, I personally do not have a relationship with any horses. I haven't been around them that much throughout my lifetime. But after seeing your film, I was like, oh, I want to go and explore horses a little bit more. So tell me a little bit about how your film came about and how you started, why you decided to do it.
Well, I have had a love for horses my whole life, before it even made sense. So as a little girl, when I was growing up, I just had this affinity for horses. And so later on in life, I moved from Chicago to Arizona, and the very first thing I did was found a place to volunteer with horses, helping humans. And it was like something, when you do something and you just realize, wow, this feels like part of my purpose on this planet. And it was like that. So it gave me a safe space to be around horses, but to also help people. And that is where I would say I witnessed my first miracle. I watched a 7-year-old boy that was diagnosed with autism who had never spoke a single word in his life in a horse session with a therapist, and I was leading the horse, and this boy started to speak for the very first time in his life. And I remember thinking, what was that? Like, what is it about a horse that allowed this young boy to feel safe enough to speak his first words? And so it imprinted on my brain. So I volunteered on and off for like 15 years. And about 2 years ago, I came home and told my partner, I'm volunteering again, and I'm just witnessing the miracles, the magic of this connection. And I was like, there's something happening that I think we need to explore further, maybe document. And so Chrisanna, who you'll talk to in a bit, was like, but I'm terrified of horses. I don't know anything about horses. And so at the same time, I started to see a lot of social media sharings about HeartMath Institute. And I was very intrigued because they were talking about the research about heart coherence when humans are with horses. Why is it so healing to our nervous systems? And how do we get into this coherent state, which is a very healing state, a very rhythmic state for our hearts to be in? And that was it for me. I was like, I need to know more. I'm living and eating and breathing this. And I asked Chrisanna if she would go on the journey with me, and she said, I have to trust that there is something big here. And so began the journey of Rescued Hearts.
It truly is a beautiful film. And how did you choose the subjects that you have in the film?
So I hate to say it this way, but the truth is we followed the breadcrumbs. So it was like one person would find out about the film that we were doing, and they would say, oh my gosh, have you ever heard of so-and-so? They're known for this specific thing in the horse world. And I would be like, gosh, no, I'm so curious. And so what started as us documenting my experience with the young girl and her siblings that I was volunteering with, then started to expand into experts. And of course, we wanted to talk to the HeartMath Institute folks and the people who actually did the research. So then we did that. And then we found out there are people working with horses in ways that are helping the horses. And so it became this give and take and this beautiful synergistic exchange of healing. And I thought, okay, so then we just started to pivot based on, okay, so we know what it's like when humans are helped by horses, but what happens when horses are dedicated, or humans are dedicated to helping the horses? And what does that look like? So it was an exploration that I could not have figured out any minute sooner than the very next step, if that makes sense. It was like divinely guided the whole time, truly.
That is amazing. That's an amazing story. And these horses were all rescued horses to begin with, too, correct?
So some of the horses that we initially were going to follow, which is where the name Rescued Hearts came from, I was so inspired by some of the stories of horses being rescued and then connecting deeply with the people and it being that two-way healing exchange. But then I started to realize that it's not always rescued horses, right? It can be it can be any horse and any human that can have an exchange that ends up being way more powerful than we could even have imagined. And so what I recognized is Rescued Hearts became this thing about we're rescuing each other's hearts. It doesn't matter if the horse was a rescue horse or not. It was like the connection of hearts was so deep, and we rescue each other.